Remember when Dead or Alive was a fighting game? Somebody out there does, and is probably in a corner crying for Dead or Alive 7. Meanwhile, Team Ninja is out here getting most of its profits from games that are not Dead or Alive. Well, they're profiting from Dead or Alive, but it's the gacha game, Venus Vacation, which is consistently on Japanese e-commerce website DMM's top 10 games. I would imagine this popularity is what brought about the game we're reviewing right now, Venus Vacation PRISM. Venus Vacation's appeal is basically the same appeal as a fanservice dating game, so why be shy about it now? It's probably what went on in that boardroom meeting. But is it a well-made game? Let's find out. In Prism, you play as the boss or the manager of this resort where festivals are held. They don't really explain what these festivals are, but I'll go off the previous games and assume that they're volleyball tournaments of some kind. Your job is to manage the festivals and the Venuses. Again, they don't really explain what being a Venus means, so I'm gonna go off the previous games again and assume that it means volleyball player or some kind of representative of the festivals. One of the first people you encounter is Misaki, who is tasked to be your assistant. She tells you to look for girls to recruit as Venuses. You find and recruit your first Venus, Honoka, and shortly after, ask Misaki to be a Venus as well. We follow your story to manage these Venuses and make them the best that they can be. But maybe they want to be more than just your festival's Venus. The story is just kinda okay. It doesn't really do anything much other than provide a context where everything happens. The game does have an ending, so you better get close to your Venus of choice before then. But looking at what the game wants to achieve, being a fanservice romance simulator, I don't think it really needs to be Shakespeare levels of story. That being said, the romance bits could do a little more now that they have a whole game that's supposed to be a romance simulator. It's the usual harem anime problem of the girls just kinda like you for no reason, other than that's just what the genre calls for. I would have loved to see a clearer journey of how the girls start to like you, other than just maybe proximity effect. This might be just a me problem, since I already know the girls from the gacha game, but they also don't really expand on the girls' stories and backgrounds much, which is okay if you either aren't familiar with the characters or are a first-time player, but would probably be disappointing if you go into it expecting more from them. There are 6 Venuses that act as your romantic interests, and they're all different, and there's a good chance that at least one of them will strike your fancy. Misaki, the first girl you meet, and your assistant, is, I would say, the most vanilla girl next door type. Then there's Honoka, who loves fighting games and is a little bit of an airhead. Tamaki is the flirty onesan, and then there's the elegant, affluent Fiona. After her is Nanami, who is the cool and calm type. And finally, we have Elise, the strict and takes everything seriously kind. The professionalism of dating your coworker/employee aside, Prism does a good job of making you feel very, for the lack of a better word, desired by the Venuses, which is kinda what you'd want from a dating game thing. These games should give you that good doki doki dopamine hit from pretending you're good with the ladies. Yeah. Do we really need to talk about gameplay? Because I feel like the market for this game isn't really too concerned with that. Just a hunch. But moving on. The gameplay. It plays like a typical dating sim/visual novel with a lot of dialogue and some choices sandwiched between. It's a song and dance that most people should be familiar with. Pick dialogue. If girl like. Congratulations, girl like you more now. The game does have branching paths, and which path you head down is up to your choices. This encourages multiple playthroughs of the game to not only see what would happen if you choose differently, but also if you wanted to see the romance path for all of them. Even if you're loyal to just one girl, there's a chance that you would miss dialogue choices on your first try because it was locked behind an affection meter check, and you didn't have enough brownie points with that specific girl. So go back there and unlock them all, Casanova. But remember, you're also the boss of the islands. You need to help convey your Venus's charms to the festival goers, and the photo shoot mode will help you do just that. During the chapters, you can actually take your camera out and take photos of the Venuses. Each chapter will have some directions on what kind of photos to take. Following these directions should give you more points. The directions go something like, take photo of Venus with this item, take photo of Venus looking away, take photo of Venus with this in the background, that kind of thing. The higher scored your photos are, the more fans your Venus will get. More fans unlocks various outfits for them as well as hairstyles and such. I'll be honest that I still really haven't gotten the hang of the scoring system and how to metagame the photos, but I was okay with just taking shots that looked nice to me. Again, Koei Tecmo knows what kind of game they're making and who they're making it for, because they really put their whole back into what really matters in this game, the photo mode. There are a lot of things to do and a lot of adjustments like putting lighting, controlling what color the lighting is, controlling the exposure and focus, filter choices, frame choices, and more. However, the rest of the gameplay elements are lackluster and a little samey. I kind of wish that they took a page out of the volleyball games here and maybe put a volleyball with stat management and leveling up or something. Or maybe even take a page out of more traditional dating sim games, where you do minigames or something that can raise your stats as the boss, making you more desirable to your would-be partner or more competent in your profession. Visuals are probably the game's strongest suit. The character models look great. Honestly, at first, as someone who is used to DOA's old models, it looked a little off to me, but it kinda grew on me a little. What didn't grow on me was the mouth movement. I don't know what it is about it, but it bothers me. While I don't have any insider knowledge of how this game was made, I can imagine that maybe they have some speech recognition and an algorithm that translates that speech to mouth movements, and that it doesn't really work as well as it should sometimes. Again, I'm just guessing here, but maybe that's what's making the mouth movements look off to me. The environments are stunning, albeit a little empty. Maybe it would have done some good to have background characters to liven up certain areas, even if they're just 3D silhouettes walking around or something. Venus Vacation Prism's audio is serviceable, but it rarely stands out. The background music is pleasant enough, with a few catchy tunes that might get stuck in your head, but it mostly fades into the scenery. The game, though, features an impressive cast that brings the Venuses to life with expressive performances, with talents like Minami Tsuda, Kaede Hondo, and Saori Onishi lending their voices. Conversations feel lively and leave a lasting impression.
Misaki-chan to Honoka-chan to watashi. Dono ko de oshiete hoshii?
Venus Vacation Prism is a dating sim / visual novel experience that was catered to the fans of the Venus Vacation gacha game. And if we were to judge the game on the basis of that, it does a fairly good job. They tried something new and some things were good and some things were eh. But again, they knew their audience and focused on what mattered. The girls, the photo mode, and the girls. Although I would have liked to see more of the original DOA cast, as Honoka and Tamaki are the only ones that actually appeared in the fighting game. Kasumi, the literal poster girl, being excluded? Missed opportunity, I think. But maybe that's their way of saying, fighting game dead. I'm sorry DOA fans that you have to go through this, but waifus sell and they're apparently doing well with this business strat. However, this shouldn't cost almost $70 US. If the story was a little bit more polished, gameplay a little more substantial, more girls, then maybe yeah. But as it stands, for most people out there, you should probably get it on sale. But if you're a big fan of the Venus Vacation games, it's probably a drop in the bucket compared to what you spend on the gacha, to be honest. That being said, we're giving Venus Vacation Prism a 72. What did you think of Venus Vacation Prism? Should they add more girls to the roster, and if they do, who would you want to see? Tell us in the comments below. Like if you like, subscribe for more video game reviews and video game content. This has been GameMate, and we'll see you next time.